Early mornings are always very good to everybody because a friend of mine told me early mornings is always very good with him and very good to everybody because that is when somebody has not had breakfast. I was surprised. So I asked him, what does breakfast have to do with the joy of a person? And he told me that, well, before you take breakfast, you are polite to people because you don't know what you'll take. But after taking breakfast, a human being feels comfortable and settled, and because you're comfortable and settled, you really don't care much. So he's found it always easier to deal with people in the early morning before breakfast. Come to think of that, put it in mind and probably take us somewhere. Today's discussion is about what persistence is all about, and what courage is all about, and what focus is all about. And because we have dealt with persistence once and now and once again, today we just want to take the topic of courage. On this our path, what the part does courage play? From the general look, I want to look at the Oxford Dictionary. I'll just say from the general look, courage simply means being willing to move forward despite fear. Courage is really not the absence of fear. The total absence of fear is represented by something else. And I don't believe that any person who is living says, I do not fear, I do not have a fear. It's only a dead person who is not fearful, and anything can happen to him. Fear is a reaction or an awareness that something unfortunate, unless corrective measures are taken, and something unfortunate is going to work its way. And so when we talk of courage, when we talk of willing to move forward, we are saying courage represents that attitude of saying, despite the fear, despite the challenges, despite whatever is blocking the road, we are willing to move. And I think that is the most reasonable thing to ask of our minds. Let us not look around to ask or pray that we may have absence of fear, because absence of fear creates content. And once we're contented, then what is there to fight for? It's a killer of ability to move forward. It robs you of that desire to fight on. And once you don't have that desire to fight on, then there's nothing to fight for. On the other hand, courage builds on the fact that there is fear. We have concerns, because every rational man who is a leader, I believe any person who is a winner must have concerns. The person who does not have concern is a gambler. And just give me a short period of time, he'll be out of the playing field. He'll be out of the playing field. He'll be out of the puzzle very soon. Yeah, because imagine somebody who doesn't have fear, so he wakes up in the morning, everybody's told that there's a lion outside there, and he walks out of his door, and what happens? Pop! The second person is not having fear, and the vehicles are coming on the road, and he's also saying, I want to cross, and another one is coming at 120 speed of 120, and he says, I want to cross, and pop! So it is that fear that, again, we need to make us aware, to make us careful, to make us control our action. Man's success has a lot of cybernetics in it. Man's successful people do so with a lot of cybernetics. And there was this great book, Cybernetics. I believe is something that if you have time, go through it, please. Because it's a very interesting topic. That is how planes get monitored or find their way from one airport to another. Ability to send signals, and ability to be aware of where they are, and because of where they are going to and their directed direction, they correct themselves mid-air. It's a long topic. It's something that if we start discussing, will again make us digress the whole day. But we're just saying that fear, that's one of the emotions which we use to tell us when to stop, to tell us when to watch out, to tell us sometimes even when to increase speed. You are walking in a bush and you're seeing it's almost turning dark, and you're saying, no, but I'm tired, and all of a sudden you hear some rabbit jumping from one side of the bush to another. What do? You hasten your speed. Why? Because of fear. Fear of what? Fear that at the dark hour, it's not a rabbit which is going to jump from one side to another. It's a leopard, it's a hyena, it's a python. And it's that fear which enables you, therefore, to move on. It's that fear which enables you to save yourself. It's that fear which creates adrenaline on your body. And that adrenaline energizes you suddenly to act with prompt response. So courage is the ability to move on in spite of fear. And what we mean by that is that there are moments when we are fearful, and fear is a very nice thing, because as we have seen, it gives us a feedback. It's a feedback of telling us this, watch out on this. But when it's persistent and consistent and appears necessary, that at every time we bend our heads, we believe that fear or danger is something that we should run away from. Anytime that we find ourselves in such a scenario, we must recheck our steps. We must look back and say, is this where we want to go to? Is this what we were expecting? Anytime you are in that state, know that unless you think rapidly, you are going to regress. We also look at the topic of courage from a different angle. That courage is that which enables us to act despite fear, and also courage is that which enables us to act beyond fear. Internally, therefore, it's debatable. Once you develop the character of courage, also act on the ability to control the adverse effects of fear. We may have discussed this briefly on another presentation, but today again we want to revisit it, that when fear takes place, when fear comes to our hearts, what does it do? It creates the immediate emission of adrenaline in our body. And adrenaline is a fight or flight mechanism. We fight or flight, it energizes us, increases the energy to our bloodstream, and we feel the desire to fight or flight. The catch with that, the difficulty with that, the challenge with that is that if it's we do not act on that, if there's the need to fight or flight is not there, then that energy is not dispensed with immediately or simultaneously. It also discharges cortisol, and a chemical called cortisol is also discharged immediately with the adrenaline, and that cortisol is what leads to what is called the aging process. That somebody who is constantly living in a state of fear ages faster than a person who lives in a state of non-fear. That's again a proven scenario. Look at the majority of us who are employed, who live in an employed environment and so on. In employment, in modern economy, people have repeated the world over, it is not the best way of living on the planet. To be employed, to be somebody's worker, is a very dangerous thing, especially past the age of 30. Because what happens is that, number one, you don't realize your full potential as a producer. You don't realize your full potential. Number two, you are not on the business and investor quadrant. You are on the employed and the self-employed quadrant. And what that means is that whatever you can earn is equal to the maximum amount that you personally can produce. So that constant fear of, if I do not produce anything, I will earn zero. That constant fear is always guiding the light of your life. And and it creates fear, it creates tension in your body. That whenever the employer says anything akin to saying, I will get rid of you, that thought itself can take you to a mental institution, because you'll be worried, you'll be depressed, you'll undergo everything. Externally, you may look as if you are normal and saying, I built something small to eat during my pension period, but the truth of the matter is that because you had not invested in other areas, there are 4 quadrants, like Robert Kiyosaki will take us through. There's the first quadrant, which talks of the employed. There is the second quadrant on the right-hand side, which talks of the businesses. There's the third quadrant on the lower left, which talks of self-employed. Then there's the fourth quadrant, which talks of the investor. These 4 quadrants, if you can take a square and divide it into 4 equal parts, these 4 quadrants directs how we live our lives. The people who are operating on the hand side, that is the business institutions, the business people, and the investors, their fears, their concerns are totally different from the people who are living on this other side. The people who are living on this side of employee and the employer and the employee and the self-employed, they rely 100% on their capacity to produce by physical presence, by physical strength. Whether it's a specialist, whether it's a lawyer, he has to appear on that required moment. There are lawyers which probably have, because of the volume of their services, the services they are rendering, they incorporate others, they take a back seat, and they turn it quietly into a corporate, into a business. But those characteristics, the basic characteristics is that on the left-hand side of the quadrants, the quadrants on the left-hand side are more of the owner has to be there physically. So their worst fear is that they should not be sick, they should not be absent from duty. They avoid to go for holidays because holidays means eating into what they have already generated, and so on and so on. They avoid to be sick, of course. The right hand side is that they build it on their own sweat. They work on it on their own sweat. They build it. It may be big, maybe a big business, or it may be a small business. But if the business system is working well, then it can work even in the presence or the absence of the owner. Similarly, on the investor environment, the investor once has put his money to work, then it's the money which works for him, it's the money which works for her, and not his or her physical presence. So again, some fears will be generated on our body because of the state of how we earn our money. And we are realizing that that is why very young people working in very high paying jobs, once they have passed the age of 40, you will see the aging process becoming very fast. They age very fast, and people just say, okay, one of the biggest challenges is lifestyle. The lifestyle conditions, that they don't move around, they sit on the desk for most of the time, and so on and so on. That is part of it. But the major part of it is that these people constantly, the employer uses the stick and carrots approach. This is what, if you do this is what I'll reward you. If you fail to do this is the punishment that will be meted for you. Again, in order to create that fear motivation, we will spend more time always talking of what bad things can happen to you, because it's assumed that something like the salary has already been agreed upon. So for the rest of the year, it's agreed on how much the employer shall be willing to pay for the services of this person X. So the person X cannot be motivated by being told you are going to earn a salary, because that's something obvious to it. So he can also, on the other hand, only be motivated by fear motivation, by being told if you don't deliver, if you do not perform, we will make you do that. We will get rid of you. We will transfer you. We will put you to a more less visible environment. That increases fear on the bloodstream. Adrenaline goes up. Cortisol also goes up because it's not utilized and because there's no environment for corrective measures like meditation and so on. Remember yesterday we were talking about the benefits of theta waves, and we were saying the beta and theta waves, the major thing that they are doing is that they make the body release melatonin. And melatonin is released, it encourages sleep, it encourages regeneration of the tired cells, and also it reduces or counters the availability of cortisol on the blood, on the cortisol on the surface of the body, on the cortisols of the tissues. And because cortisol, when it's reduced, then the aging process reduces, then meditation, therefore, change of the waves, brain waves, can be used to reverse the aging process. Now, on this discussion, we are seeing an environment of somebody who is probably working, employed, and because he's employed, he has to wake up at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, and run to work, and by 7 he should be there. He doesn't have time for the meditation process. And because there is no time availed for regeneration of the cells keep on dying and dying and dying. By the time the person gets to the year 40, you always hear of a nervous breakdown. You always hear of early retirement because of a disability, and so on and so on. And it's sad because by the time he gets off work because of disability, or yes, because of disability of the body to decide the services, similarly now he cannot use meditation to regenerate the body, because by that time it's too late. The damage is too more pronounced. So we see fear as something that we, again, as transformers, we can really share that with our teams, how to work on how to reverse the effects of fear, how to also work on an environment which ensures that we are not fearful. There's no point of working on every kind of meditation and learning every type of brainwave entrainment, but making sure that you are working on an environment which is always harmful to your body. It's just like somebody always in the morning, he takes 20 glasses of beer, 3 packets of cigarettes, and in the afternoon, he runs to the gym to come and extract them from his body. He may extract some, but what if it doesn't work out? He may extract some, but what if it is too late by the time he's trying to extract some? He may try to extract some, but for whatever reason, just it fails to work off. Why do we do it forth and back and forth? That's not correct. So that was our lesson today of fear. Thank you very much for the chance to present to you, and welcome to Passion Influencer Africa today's morning.